Let's get everybody. It's your boy to keep we're back with another video today. We're talking about who will end up with the 2 seed in the WNBA playoffs. Right now, we got 4 teams, really close. Right now, Atlanta is number 2, Las Vegas is number 3, Phoenix is number 4, and New York is number 5. The reigning champions are sitting at the 5 seed right now, 5-5 in their last 10. So I'm gonna go through each of these situations, scenarios, and then we're gonna talk about who I feel like is gonna end up with the 2 seed versus, well, I guess you guys in the comments can let me know what you guys think about who will end up with the 2 seed, based on these teams that are really like a game and a half apart at most. I want to say, um, yeah, game and a half at most. Atlanta and Vegas are pretty much tied. Vegas has more wins, but Atlanta has less losses. Uh, Vegas has already clinched the playoff spot with 25 wins. So with the next Atlanta win, they would do the same. Uh, Phoenix is 23-14, and then New York is 23-15. We have Atlanta currently at number 2, and on their schedule coming up, sorry, Atlanta and Vegas play tonight. Sorry, not tonight. Yeah, tonight. Good board. They play tonight. So that game is going to be a huge indicator. I think if Vegas wins again, they already beat the Dream a couple of, what did a couple weeks ago? Last week. They beat them last week. So um, if they're able to win this, I feel like it just gives the Aces even bigger of a lead, even though they wouldn't necessarily be in like a huge lead. I think that game is a huge separator. Now after that, the Dream play the Wings, which they're not a playoff team, so that should be a win on paper. And they play the Sun after that. They play the Sparks after that. They play the Sparks again, the Sun, the Sun. So the Dream could honestly, if they beat Vegas, the Dream have a very easy schedule to end the season. They don't play a playoff team again the rest of the season. They end out the season against the Sun, the Sparks twice, and actually the Sun 3 times, and the Sparks twice, and the Wings uh, in a couple of days. So take care of business against the team that you need to beat the most, which is Vegas. Talked about this last week on the podcast. The Dream have their own destiny in their own hands right now. If they handle their own business, there's no one that can be in front of them as far as being that second seed. Because as long as you win the games that you need to, you're good. The Aces game is huge, but they could literally go 6-0 after that. And barring, granted, we don't know how the Aces are going to go or how the Aces are going to look or the Liberty are going to look, but with that kind of schedule, the Dream should be locked into the 2 seed if they beat the Aces tonight. Now the Aces are on an 11-game win streak. Like I said, they clinched the playoff spot. Asia's been playing out of her mind, and their last game of August is tonight against the Dream. They have 4 games in September. They only have 5 games left. After the Dream game, they play the Lynx one more time, and then they have the Sky twice, who they just had a battle with. They have 2 home games, 3 home games. Lynx is a home game. Sky, both of those games are at home, and then they play the Sparks on the road to end the season. So similar to the Dream, the Aces need that Dream game. They win that game, they're the 2 seed. Now it gets difficult because they'll have to play the Lynx, who the last time they played the Lynx, they lost by 53. Um, but they're playing at a much better role, or playing at a much better rhythm right now. I will say a lot of their wins have come down to the last couple of minutes, and teams have just, I don't want to say gave away the game, but teams have just not executed. And I'm not going to say that Aces don't deserve credit for that, but I think that's just the flip. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the law of averages. Like early in the season, teams were shooting hot, teams were playing really well, teams were ending the games well against or in the games well against them. Like they lost a couple to the Misses. They had a blowout against the Valkyries. They lost a couple to the Fever. So when you see stuff like that, and then they go on an 11-game win streak, something has to flip. Obviously, Asia's play is flipped, and I wouldn't say it's flipped. She's been great all season. Um, but Asia's play has been the main catalyst. And then I would say the defense in the fourth quarter, not necessarily the defense the entire game, but the last 3 to 4 minutes, the defense really does a great job of shutting teams down. They held the Dream to 72 last week. They held Mercury to 61 last week, held the Mystics to 81, held the Sky to 74. If you can keep teams under 80 when you're not a great defensive team, you have a great chance of winning. Uh, I'm curious to see what they look like tonight against the Dream. It's in Atlanta. So that's a huge game. This is basically a playoff game, honestly. It's literally a playoff game. This is a game with two seed stakes on it. And the two seed is so important. I know a lot of people are like, dang, it's the two seed, it's the two seed. The two seed means you don't have to play the Lynx potentially until conference finals. If you fall to 4 or 5, even though you have that first round home court and with the 4 seed, you still have to play the Lynx before the conference finals, which you don't want to do. Whether or not you're playing at a high rate going into the playoffs. So the Aces have a great chance. I think if they win tonight, they probably lock it up, depending on how the Lynx game goes. But uh, then we have Phoenix. Phoenix has been around that 2 to 5 spot all season long. They've been pretty consistent, even though they've had some injuries, and they don't have like the best. They don't have the best. I don't want to put this. They don't have the best talent on paper, like besides their top 10 talent of Alyssa Thomas, Satu, and Ka. I guess you could throw DeWanna Bonner in there too. But a lot of their players are rookies. Like besides Sammy Whitcomb, Natasha Mack, and Kalani Brown, this is all of their first seasons. Kat Westbelt, Mo McConney, we have Lexi Hell. Like, there's just so many players on the team that don't have a ton of experience, but have played really well in the system and with the team all season. So they deserve a lot of credit for that, for bringing in players that hadn't played in the W before, hadn't really played with Alyssa Thomas or Satu before, and being able to fit into a role and help the team as much as they have. They play the Sky on Thursday, which is not an easy game because Angel Reese is back. Camila Cardoso has been playing really, really great lately. Ariel Atkins is coming off a 30-point game against the Aces. So that's not an easy game, but that is at home. Then they have a home game against the Liberty, which is basically playing for that 3-4 seed right there because they're 5-4 currently. So they're playing for that 3-4 seed. The Aces dream and then Lynx games back to back are big for Mercury and the Liberty. They're going to be paying attention to those games. I think the Liberty and Mercury game happens before the Lynx and Aces game. But if one of these two teams are able to win two straight, and then depending on what happens with Vegas or Atlanta, if Atlanta drops one, and then they're able to leap, like it's really interesting what could happen. Then the Mercury have a home game against the Fever, who's a playoff team, home game against or a road game against the Mystics, who's not a playoff team, and have basically fallen out of contention at this point. I think they're 16-22. They lost 4 straight, so they would have to win every single game and get some help to get in as the 8 seed. Then they play the Sun on the road, not a playoff team, obviously. They play the Sparks at home, who are currently 9, and then you have the Wings at Dallas to end the season. So the Mercury have a pretty good uh end of the season as well. Uh, Besides Phoenix and then probably Washington and LA. And if you want to get to where you want to get to, those shouldn't be hard games. Now we don't know when Caitlin Clark is coming back. She's been ramping up in practice, so she could be back by that game next Tuesday or this coming Tuesday against Phoenix. So that would change the game, obviously. Uh, but I would even say I can't even say that because the Storm keep losing to the Fever without Caitlin Clark. So um, the Fever obviously is not a pushover game. Neither is the Mystics or the Sparks game. I'm just saying for the Mercury to get where they want to get to, those shouldn't be games that they're like really circling. Like okay, like this is gonna be a really difficult game tonight. Now obviously it's basketball. Like it's professionals. You can't just go out there like that. But if you understand what I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying. So the Mystics, or sorry, the Liberty, the Liberty have a home game against the Mystics Thursday. Then they play the Mercury Saturday, which we just talked about. And then in September, they only have 4 games. So they have 6 games left in the season. They play the Valkyries in Golden State, which is one of the best atmospheres in the league. They play the they play the Storm in Seattle. Then they play the Mystics again at home. And then they play the Sky in Chicago to end the season. Fully healthy, these should be wins. Now, I'll say the Valkyries, the Storm, and the Mystics are not easy games. Neither are the Sky. These are not easy games by any means. But as a team that is the reigning champions, and when they were healthy, looked like the easily 1A, 1B with the Lynx, I expect them to win these games. I expect Brianna Stewart to get healthier and healthier and just get into a role as they get into the thing. I think the Liberty are okay getting the 3 seed. I don't think they're like, oh, we have to get the 2 seed. I think the team that really wants the 2 seed the most is probably Vegas, but I would say Atlanta probably the most out of all of them. I think Phoenix is one of those teams that's just like wherever we go, we go. But I think the Liberty want to get at least in that 2-3 range. Like even if they don't get the 2 seed, I think they're okay with playing in Atlanta or Vegas on the road first because they have the experience. They have the experience of winning the championship. They have the experience of playing on the road and fighting for your life to stay in the playoffs. So I don't think they're as worried as in Atlanta is because Atlanta doesn't have the same experience as as a Vegas or um, even Phoenix. Like Phoenix with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner and Ka all have playoff experience. DeWanna and Ka both have championship experience. BG has championship experience for the Dream, but that's about it. Everybody else is pretty young, hasn't really had a playoff moment or a playoff series that you could look at and be like, okay, they're ready for the moment, or like, okay, we see what we got here. Let's go here. So it'll get really interesting with these last couple of games, especially since some of these teams are matched up. We'll see Atlanta and Vegas tonight, which is, like I said, is basically a playoff game. And then we got Phoenix and New York on Saturday, which is essentially a playoff game as well. So, um, and then we got Minnesota, Vegas next week or like end of the week. So big, big, big stakes on the line in the next couple of weeks. We only have 7-ish games left. I think that's the most the team has left. I think the leagues have 7 games left. Some have 6, some have 5. Uh, so the season is almost the regular season is almost over. It's almost playoff time. The playoffs are the best time of year, best kind of basketball. It's when your name is etched in history. It's when your legacy is made. It's what you're remembered for. Yes, you can be remembered for MVPs and all WNBAs, DPOYs, All Stars, and 3-point contests. But at the end of the day, when your name is talked about in those top 15, top 20, top 25 conversations, the championships matter because the best players in WNBA history have championships. Shell Swoops, championships. Cynthia Cooper, championships. Candace Parker, Maya Moore, uh, Lisa Leslie, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, like Tamika Catchings, championships. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Lauren Jackson, championships. Like you have to win championships to be in those conversations. And there are a few players that are on the brink of being in those conversations, but they don't got a chip yet. So this is the chance. This is your time to put yourself in a different category, to put yourself in a different echelon of all timers, of elite players in the WNBA. So over this next couple of weeks, really week and a half or so, we'll see who really wants to get to those spots. And then once the playoffs start, we're hitting the ground running. Uh, I will try to bring you guys nightly recaps if I can. Some of these games come on a little late, so I'm not going to promise you that, but I will try my best to give you nightly recaps of playoff games. Until then, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more. I got a couple more videos coming out for y'all, so stay tapped in for those. And thank you guys.